What's up? So, do you guys live in a halal bubble? Yes, I said halal bubble. So you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. So I want you guys to answer a couple of these questions, and hopefully by the end of the video, you will know the answer to that question. So first off, where do you buy your beef and your chicken? These are for the Muslims, by the way. Second, where do you buy your dairy products? Where do you buy your milk, your ice cream, your yogurt, or your cheese? And third, where do you buy your eggs? So if this was me about a year and a half ago, this is how I would answer the questions. I buy my beef and my chicken from a halal meat store, my halal butcher on Butler Street. Okay. Second, I buy my dairy from, including my eggs and my milk and my cheese and my yogurt, from the regular grocery stores, from Target or Whole Foods for the most part. And I buy my eggs from the same two places. Now, most of us Muslims probably answered that question the same exact way, correct? We tend to get our meat, our actual slaughtered animals, from a halal meat store because they were slaughtered, right? They were slaughtered the correct way. They were slaughtered the Zabiya way, with all the rulings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid out for us. And that's why we do that. But what about our dairy and our eggs? And you're probably asking, what about our dairy and eggs? So, as we all know, dairy and eggs are animal derived, right? They come from either cows or from chickens. So, and we get these, as we just answered, from a regular grocery store. We'll get them from a Target, a Whole Foods, a Walmart, or sometimes even a gas station. And technically, they do not have a halal certified stamp on the back because it's just dairy and eggs, right? They didn't have to be slaughtered. The animal didn't have to be slaughtered just yet in order to produce that. But we have to consider that every time the word halal is mentioned in the Quran when it comes to food consumption, tayyib is also mentioned. And tayyib means pure, it means ethical, it means lawful, it means wholesome and excellent. So keeping that in mind, now let's talk about how eggs are produced. It's going to be very, very brief. I encourage you to actually go, which I always encourage, is to go research on your own, figure it out on your own, because it's the only way you're going to actually take it in. But I hope you can take this in as well. But briefly, they use a separate group of hens just for egg production. Male chicks are actually, if they for some reason cannot produce, they're literally thrown away, like they're not even living beings. They're either gassed or thrown in the trash, where they just suffocate in there until they die. And these are male chicks, male chicken babies. Or they're actually put into a grinder while they're alive. So they get grinded alive. And then the females, they're stuffed into cages with like 6 or 7 other female chicks. And these are very small cages, and they're wired, and they literally live there for the rest of their life. They don't come out, they eat, they sleep, they poop, they do everything in there. And their beaks are actually cut off with a hot blade, just so they won't pick at each other and hurt each other in that environment, or fight with each other. Which, that's just brutal. Like, no comment. Now keep in mind, we all know that any animal that is used for consumption is somehow nowadays always genetically modified or manipulated in some way or another. They're given steroid injections so they can be bigger, so there's more product for the consumer, correct? That's the same thing for eggs. They want to have larger eggs, so we have more product. So when they do that, if you think about it, well, what if someone did that to us as humans? If we were manipulated so we can have really, really big babies, just so some monsters can eat them or something. Now, will our bodies be able to handle that? Is it going to have some sort of consequence? And yes, of course it will. So it's the same thing with these hen. So what happens is the egg will sometimes get stuck on the uterine wall, and when they lay the egg, the uterus will come out with it. And the only way to fix that is to take the uterus and actually put it back into the hen. Now, do we really think that they do that? No. The uterus just stays out there, and the other hens that are in that cage will pick at it until this hen literally bleeds to death or dies of an infection. And this takes at least 2-3 days for this to happen. So they're suffering, right? Also, these hens are starved at the end of their life. It's called forced molting, just to get them to produce another round of eggs for us before they're taken to the slaughterhouse. So they're starved also before they are slaughtered. The Prophet ﷺ used to curse those that mutilated any animals. So let's keep that in mind. So how do we get our dairy? Our dairy, our milk that is supposed to be a cure and prophetic medicine, which there's no way, absolutely, when you find out about the process that milk is being produced from, this cannot be beneficial for us, and I'm sure the Prophet ﷺ would not approve of what's happening. Cows are literally being raped and artificially impregnated in order for us to get our milk by machines or sometimes by human hands. They're impregnated for most of their life, and even while they're, most of their life, their lifespan is actually reduced from 15 to 20 years to almost 5 to 6 years instead. So we've also shortened their lifespan. Now they're also being milked while they are pregnant, and once they actually have the baby, their baby is also taken away from them right away just so we can have our milk and our veal, which leaves the cow in such an emotionally devastated state because it's crying out for her baby, has no idea where the baby, she just gave birth and the baby's gone. Now as a mother, that's heartbreaking, not to know where your baby is. You just gave birth and your baby was fine. There's times where they can actually hear the baby on the other side because it hasn't been taken to the veal farm yet, and they're crying out for each other. This is only happening so we can have our veal and we can have our milk and everything else that's made from milk. It's heartbreaking. If this was happening to humans, think about that. So in my opinion, just because something has a halal certified stamp on it does not necessarily tell us whether it's tayyib or not. It doesn't tell us how the animal was actually raised and how it was treated. We don't know if it was abused or not. We don't. And then when it comes down to eggs and dairy, that doesn't even have a halal certified stamp on it. We actually have a lot more information about the fact that it is most likely not being done the tayyib way. It is not pure, it is not ethical. So, because it's being mass produced in these crazy industries just trying to make money. So, in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ was reported consoling a camel that was crying. And when the camel stopped crying, Prophet ﷺ asked who the owner was. And a young man came forward and claimed that it was his. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, "Do you not fear God over this animal that he entrusted you with? It complained to me that you starved it and overbeared it with tasks." Isn't that what we are doing to the animals as well because of our mass consumption? So what do you guys think? Do we live in what Muhammad Gillen calls it, a halal bubble? Do we all live in a halal bubble? And is it time to finally pop that halal bubble? I actually really want to know, so please let me know your thoughts. Is it time that we all go plant-based? Because it seems like there can be nothing done nowadays because of our mass consumption to fix this.